All right, my name is Byng, and I'm up here at the Eastern Idaho Tying Expo, and gonna tie for you a AP Pontoon Emerger, and this is a fly that was developed by the late Andre Pouillons, and it's just really just awesome when the hatch is just starting emerging pattern. I fished it all over from still waters of Silver Creek waters of California, and therefore it has not failed me yet. And I say it's one of those must-have flies in your box. And one of the things I want to talk about is the good quality CDC, as you can see right here. If you have this makes a big difference because the wing structure is what we're looking for here, and it has to have the right amount of barbules and density in it to do the wing. So keep that in mind. So if you try tying it and you have a lesser product of CDC and it doesn't work for you, it's going to be all bad. But with that being said, let's start this fly. I got just standard. I like to tie these things in 18s and 16s, but this is going to be a 14 for demonstration purposes. And I have just a standard HE scud hook right here, light wire. I start with my thread, yellow 8/0 standard thread. And as always, I like to put a nice thread base down here because we're working on the curve of the hook, so a thread base is even more important just to keep our materials in check. And then I'll come back up right now to this and take the twist out of there. Take our tag end off. So at this point right here, I got a little bit of brown Zelon, and this will just kind of form our shuck. And I'm just going to slip this in back around the hook like this, and then tie down back, keeping this up on top of it. As you see how I'm pulling this, and the thread's kind of pinching it down on there. We're working on that curve there. That keeps that all up on top. So I like to take generally what my body length is and add a little bit to it, and for a shuck, because this insect emerged out of that whole area there. And I'll get this excess stuff out of here. So proportion wise is if you took kind of the length of this hook, and it's about that long right back there, and it's just hanging. Next we use fine and dry dubbing, or any dry dubbing that's in a nice pale yellow, bright yellow kind of color. At this point of the emergence, they're real bright, so it's no problem using these bright colors. A lot of people use subdued colors at this point, and I'm kind of actually thinking from my fishing experiences is that this bright yellow actually works in my favor. It's telling something's fresh and alive and just hatched out, so that's why we use this. And I'm just doing the typical counterclockwise pinch and roll up on the dubbing to build up this little area. Now right at this point here, because I'm going to put a wing in here and I'm going to need a little bit of help with the structure, I'm going to put a little extra dubbing and just kind of do like I typically do here, is get the dubbing started, and then from my point of view, a counterclockwise direction, I'm tightening that dubbing up, so now it's getting real good and tight. I want it really tight, and since this is going counterclockwise, it's actually tightening and dubbing up, and we're going to form like a little BB-like size ball right here. And it's real, like I said, this part of it I really did tight. Nice and tight's the key. Now I'm going to take 2 CDC feathers right here, and if you notice, they're curved to the outside right here like that. That's how we're going to sit there and install these wings. We want like this. We've got quite a bit of material here, so we can take out all this stuff down here and clean that out. And then what I do is kind of stroke it together and transfer from my left hand to right hand. Now if the tips are uneven right here, I can just kind of move my fingers back and forth and get them both tips evened up. That's a great way to do this. See, get them there, because this is where we're going with it. And I'm going to make kind of a shorter wing in this state. This is not going to be as long as wing as, say, like if we were making a dun. So I got it down there controlled up in a nice little bunch. I'm setting that right up on top of that ball of dubbing we made. and I transfer over to my left hand, and this is where a pinch technique of a loop like that. See how that I got slack in there because I pinched it in my hand just to do that wing set, and roll that down, pop that down in there, and do that a couple times. And then I'm rolling my thread going forward, making a collar area right in here. So I go 3 wraps roughly going up. Now I'm going to go 3 wraps going back. The reason why is I'm going to pull these. This is what gives it the outrigger, the pontoon style of tie-in, to the right and to the left. So on my side, I'll do this first. And now keep in mind, my thread's actually back in front of that wing there. And I'm going to come up and do a couple really good tight wraps there on my side, and then on the other side, opposite side, I do 2, 3 wraps right in there. And then you have to do this. If not, these little legs will work themselves out going forward just from fishing them. So you really got to sit there and have some real good, nice, consistent, tight wraps in there. Yeah, trim that ugly thing out of there. Back to our dubbing. But what I do a little bit different here is I'm going to change up the color on the front. Just because the mayflies, when they're hatching and stuff, they got a little bit almost an amber kind of color to them. Give it a two-tone effect. So I've gone with just a little bit of this brown olive superfine dubbing. And I'm going to wet my fingers a little bit to help this stick. And it's the same method once again. I'm starting off with just a tiny little amount of dubbing at this point. Slide it up to where my one thread wrap will grab it. Then I need to really come in here and just make a nice tight dubbing. The reason why is I'm going to pull the wing up and the legs all together and come behind here. And you're going to see how that just stands everything up. On my side, I'm pulling the legs, this remaining amount of material out straight towards me and going behind it and over the wing at this point right there. And then on the other side, I'm coming right down through on those legs over here. And I'm just going to bring the dubbing forward and kind of cover up that little ball area there. And just like that. And that's looking pretty good. So, and then, see, just enough to cover that up, and we'll come in here and whip finish this. Pop that off like that. Knock off our thread. Now, we'll pull these down to do our legs, and to get our correct length of the legs out here is even with the hook point. Boom, there it's off. Now, if there's anything below the fly, I can't see it down in this area here, I'm going to trim it out. Just like that. Now, as you can see, this is just really a lot of flotation in the front of the wings and stuff, so I don't put no head cement in there or nothing like that at the end of the fly, because that's all going to go into the head and the CDC. So this is what you're looking at, is the pontoon emerger. Let me move this up in the vise a little bit, just a tiny little bit, so you can see the shuck hanging off the back end here like that.
Perfect, yeah. Twirl it. Cool.
There she is, pontoon emerger.